Hello YouTube, Serah has gotten a GL first LD board rework. Every analysis done with her previously is now null and void, including mine. I'm a fan of 13.2 and Serah, and I'm overjoyed that they did this. I'm going to be doing an analysis of the character, giving my perspective having played and completed all JP content from this point forward. You can check my channel to show that. I'm going to be highlighting some of Serah's strengths, weaknesses, future viability, and best of all, what a lot of you come here for is stomping out some horrendous takes. I know you guys love it. But before I continue, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, share the video around, and tell me what you think about Serah in the comments. Only half of my viewers on average are subscribed. I play both JP and global, and I upload tons of content. Hit the bell as well so you don't miss a single upload. I read all the comments, so say what you please, but if you have a hot take or come at me sideways, expect me to push back. This is an analysis based on my understanding of things at the moment. I did my best to not make any mistakes, but I am human. If there's anything I missed, I encourage you to tell me. I like to correct myself loudly and often. There's no ego in this stuff. I'm not some content creator god in the ivory tower. I'm a guy with the mic who can articulate himself. Hopefully, I can hit the mark a little better this time. Before I get into the analysis, let's just talk a little bit about Serah's reception. So previously, Serah was getting deservedly trashed for her joke of an LD. Although it was funny that she was being trashed by word of mouth when there were some people who didn't actually know what her LD did. They just knew bad. Anyways, they clearly knew they made a mistake and they rectified it. So giant thumbs up to the dev team. Y'all did good work here. From what I see, opinions on Serah were so horrendous, the fix has been widely praised. There were some hot takes floating around though that I'm going to stomp out. Without any further ado, let's get into the analysis. The meat of her LD board rework was the new frame buff that she was buffed massively. So now it gives Serah a Brave regen for half of her M Brave. It gives all allies a Brave regen for 30% of their M Brave, which in total adds up to 80% M Brave regen for Serah every time she goes. She has party overflow auras, stolen and gained, which are always good. It helps split damage do more if it caps. And now she has a conditional Brave and HP damage up aura where if the enemy party has 6+ debuffs, so you can do like 3 and 3 or 4 and 2, 5 and 1, you know, math, then the party gets Brave damage up plus 30% and party HP damage up 20%. This is all fantastic, and I'm going to break it down even further. I think one of the biggest parts of Serah's upgrade is the M Brave regen. I think it's honestly flying a little bit under the radar because on paper M Brave regen doesn't sound that good, but as someone who plays JP, this is incredibly valuable. M Brave regen is the future. Brave gain reductions get so high now that M Brave regen is the norm. New units who get regen usually get M Brave regen. It scales much better because M Brave is generally so much higher and our I Brave is such a small stat. Serah provides a hilarious amount of M Brave to the party. I think it's 80%, so this regen will be noticeable. Serah also has a 50% regen on top of her own 30% regen to the party, so combined with her extra overflows, Brave gain up, armor, and HP damage up, she's likely going to be capping damage every time she uses a skill by battery alone. Next up, we have the overflows. Overflow auras are generally good. This buff split AoE HP attacks a ton because the split damage can spread out more, and gained overflow stack with Serah's massive batteries and regens and M Brave buffs means the party is not leaking much Brave, if any. Brave and HP damage up, I wish it stood for itself at this point, given we've had Paladin, Cecil, and Balthier, but I'm going to go over this again. It's par for the course for aura characters nowadays, and while she doesn't benefit much from the Brave damage up as she doesn't have many Brave hits, this stacked with her insane attack up and defense down means that party members are going to be hitting very hard. We've seen how valuable Brave damage up is with Paladin Cecil, RNA's Vital Crusher debuff, Balthier's auras, Jack's debuff, and now Serah can join the ranks. HP damage up is also great for Serah and the party as a whole, maximizing her damage and helping her cap effortlessly after the Brave gains. It is conditional on enemies having 6 buffs in total, so on 2 enemies it's pretty easy to upkeep. On 1 enemy it's a little bit tricky and you're gonna have to team build around that. On 3 enemies it's brainless. She's also getting debuff start. Her debuff start actually got upgraded from what it used to be on her old LD boards. It was just her EX debuff and now it's all of her debuffs. This makes her calls much more valuable as well, and it chains in nicely with her conditional auras as she'll have them off the bat if you just LD from jump. The actual LD attack got buffed very nicely too. Now it's a Brave gain into a double HP attack. It's way better than a single hit split garbage. Serah's overflow buffs and HP damage up means this is doing substantially more damage than it seems on paper. A very good button to press. Now in practice, how are we using Serah? Well, her numbers are alright, but what does it all mean? Well, she's doing what she did previously, being Aura bot with solid debuffs, but now she's doing it a lot better with a giant facelift that fits her in nicely in the current era. Her auras are massive. I know people like to pick and choose what numbers they drool over like Rude versus Karen. praising Rude for his auras when Kieran had him beat in all aspects, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Serah's buffs in total are monstrous. Check out the Time Rage for graphic. It's a lot. She's stacking up with, she's close to the top already. And this was before the Brave and HP damage up. She can work pretty much everywhere, provided you can keep the debuffs active on the boss, and they don't even need to be her debuffs. And it's not like her debuffs are getting shut out wildly anyways. Her debuffs are a nice gimmick, but her true value is her buffs, and the devs really, I think, knocked it out of the park here. Now for what I know people love, and not the hot takes just yet. Calm down, guys. We gotta get more view time. We're gonna talk about future viability for Serah. I'm gonna highlight where she will shine, and otherwise where she'll be a nice fit. First off, we have Trey's Lost Chapter, where she's featured for the Sap Orb. Obviously, she's going to be able to hit that. Boss Rush 3 again for that. It's not a Sap, technically, it's Brave damage via debuff, but you know what I mean. Terra's Chapter Lufenia, which is a non-elemental magic Brave damage orb. She handles that, and she'll be bringing... The thing is that it's highlighting her advantages over Balthier and Paladin Cecil, because Holy, they have an element counter in that fight after 50%, unless you can cheese around it, and then Balthier, it's range resist, and again, the enchant thing. They require a lot more effort to use there, whereas Serah, you'll just drop her there, and she'll be cake. Although it does resist attack and Embrave down, so she'll need a secondary source of a third debuff to hit her conditions, but again, that's pretty simple to do. Then we have Garland's Raid Lufenia. She's actually going to have a bad time here. I think they just straight up murder you if you use magic, so that's an L for her, but that's just one fight, it's fine. I can see her being very useful in Desh's awful Lost Chapter, where you need AoE HP attacks for the orb, alongside just being a tight damage race in general, and Serah's auras will help you kill it faster. She's at least viable for Transcendence 2, but I don't think she's doing anything special there. Kadaj's event needs a debuff to be active, and they cleanse every 10% HP, and all of Serah's buttons debuff, so she could help keep that up, and her poisons will also tick their Brave gains off in the off turn. And then there's a Sap Orb in Boss Rush 4 as well. So that's just the next 2 months, and so outside of that, even if she's not being like stellar for the fight, which she's clearly going to be very helpful for, she's going to be there as just an Orbot in general, just functioning well. In general, again, she's an Orbot, and she's not really shut out of anything. Even if she's not handling the orb, she can buff someone else who does. It's not rocket science. Buffs that are really good are pretty straightforward, and her auras are extremely competitive with a pretty easy condition. It's not like bosses are cleansing like crazy. Cleanse gets hyped up like mad, but usually cleanses are predictable and easy to play around. Not random. Single target fights, she's going to have a harder time, but those are not the norm. Just make sure you have enough debuffs active and you're gold. Again, not very difficult to satisfy. Divine Alexander going forward as well, she's going to get even stronger as her encouragement high armor gets buffed to increase gains by 30% and not 5%. She already batteries a ton now, so that's going to get even more crazy. Serah's future is looking awesome. And now what you all have been waiting for, the hot takes. You got to take some of these down. I don't see it as frequently. The GL first hate has kind of calmed down. I think people with at least 2 brain cells can see that Serah's pretty valuable now. But there are some really bad takes that I want to just stop in their track. Serah didn't get a rework. This is probably the worst take possible. The problem with Serah's LD was the fact that she had a bad LD. We have seen time and time again that people can get so loaded of an LD that they don't need a rework. Paladin Cecil, Lightning, Onion Knight, looking forward, Orin in JP is a monster. He just soloed a Dimensions End Crucible with no rework. And Maria's pretty good without a rework as well. Like, this has happened time and time again, and why is this take still existing? Reason people wanted Serah to get a rework on her LD release in JP is because her LD was so bad. But because they picked up the slack with the LD, there's no reason to complain that she needs a rework. This is seriously the worst take possible. We don't look at pieces of a kit in a vacuum, we look at the whole thing, how things work together in context. Again, there's so many units who got by without a rework, and I know so many people were praising Lightning, who has 3 hit skills, bruh. Imagine complaining Lightning is bad because she still has 3 hit skills and needed a rework when she has such a stupid kit overall. It is a horrible and inconsistent standard, and I would expect at least a crumb of consistency between some part of the community, and that'd be stellar, but some people just have the memory of goldfish, so it is what it is. This take is seriously just disqualifying. Tying into the whole no rework thing is the no brave hits. Wow, Serah doesn't have any brave hits. This is really a silly thing to get hung up on, because she doesn't need to have brave hits. Her double poison can handle off-turn brave shaving, and as I pointed out, her brave gains and her regens on top of the HP damage up is so good that she doesn't really need to do brave damage in the first place. She's going to be regenning and battering the full anyways, and she's an aura bot, man. Next up is underestimating Serah's auras. 110% attack, 80% M Brave is already really good. 30% Brave damage and 20% HP damage up on top of that is extremely competitive and valuable. M Brave regen, again, is the future, and Serah buffs that like crazy, along with having a good percentage of it for the party, and even more for herself to keep her self-sufficient. If you pulled Rude for his quote-unquote auras and are trashing Serah, I want to slap you. Lastly, I want to cover the character comparisons. The characters she's being placed up most against are Paladin Cecil and Balthier. Before I give my take though, you really want to check out Excalibur's video on this. He did a fantastic job. Show him some love, like, sub, share, tell him I sent you. Great content creator who should get way more recognition. Shout out to this dude for real. I got humbled yesterday because I told him he did a great job, and he said he's a fan of mine, and I was like, man, I've been watching your stuff too, and you've been doing great stuff. As always, I'm a person, guys. Don't put me on a pedestal. But yeah, definitely check out his video. Great breakdown. He got straight to the point and didn't waste anybody's time. Love it. Anyway, like I say, comparisons in a vacuum by reducing characters to one thing is never productive. Balthier, let's see, he brings brave damage, actual brave damage, non-elemental range attacks, dispel, and an unconditional brave and HP damage up aura. Paladin Cecil brings heals, defense up, massive brave damage up, plus enchant, conditional HP damage and brave damage up auras, and slight battery along with the holy element. Serah brings insane attack and M brave up, conditional debuff based brave and HP damage up auras, non-elemental magic attacks, poison, defense, attack, and M brave down, and big battery and regen. If you collapse these three together without taking everything into context to make a flat comparison, you're just being dumb. Why are we having this conversation? All they have in common is the attack up and like HP damage up and brave damage up auras. They have a ton else that's not similar. Why do you have to pick between one or the other? You can't have multiple buffers on the party. It's this one-track mindedness that always gets me, bro. That's actually all I had to say on this. Serah is so straightforward. I don't know what else I can talk about. Buffs are good. Serah is extremely loaded. I'm really happy with these upgrades. Those auras are so good, and Serah's only going to get better when the encouragement armors are reworked. I think she's going to stay useful in global for a crazy amount of time. I'm even leaning towards saying she's the best global first LD since Aranea, but I'm not quite there. That might be too hot of a take, but I'm in that ballpark right now. Regardless, shout out to the dev team because I think they knocked it out of the park here. Hopefully they can buff Ferris Deuce at 7 with the same treatment, but I doubt that's the case. A man can dream. But yeah, that's it. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, share this video around, and drop a comment about your thoughts on Serah. I'll be reading everything, so don't hesitate to chime in. Be careful with the hot takes, because my viewers know that I push back. So anywho, have a good day, y'all. I hope you enjoyed. Catch you in the next one. Bye.